Now, this segment is about the 5 simple steps, practical steps in how to transcend your world. We looked at the 5 principles to transcend your world, and the first one is to change your thinking and awareness. The second one is to change the way you play life in your lifestyle. The third principle is to discover who you really are. The fourth one is to find and climb your highest potential. The fifth one is to transcend your mind and live in love and light. Now we're going to go to the 5 simple steps. Do you remember I said that you just have to make some small changes in your life? So if you were to just take 3 of these and do regularly, a few times a week, minimum 3 times a week, every day if possible, pick 3 of these to do and pick 3 things to drop that don't serve you in your life. Do this regularly. Within 1 month, your life will shift and change. Continue to do it, your life will shift and change even more. And then it gives you more scope and empowerment to put into your life some of these other principles. So the first simple step is grounding. Grounding is as simple as taking off your shoes and just standing barefoot on the ground, out on the grass, connected with Mother God. That's it. Now grounding is probably one of the top few simple things that our modern society has completely forgotten, that has devastating, debilitating effects on our health. We live in unreality because of our disconnection from the earth. I'll say it again. We live in unreality because of our disconnection from the earth, our separation from the earth. Our life separates us from nature. We're indoors. We have artificial lighting. We wear shoes that disconnect us from the ground. I bought a pair of slippers from the US that were grounding slippers. So they've got some, in the slippers are some little modules that when you walk on the ground, it connects me to the ground. I went, fantastic. So I bought 2 pairs, which I now use to wander around and walk around. And so grounding is very, very simple. And all you do with grounding is to stand barefoot on the grass, on the sand, on the beach is good. If you want to walk around barefoot, that's good too. 15 to 45 minutes. Start with 15 and 45 minutes a day is maximum. So the greatest benefit is if you, during the day, can have 45 minutes barefoot on the ground. When you fly an aeroplane, the best thing you can do is to ground yourself when you first land. So it looks really silly that when you walk down onto the tarmac, you take your shoes off and walk barefoot. It's pretty dirty, but it's the best thing you can do to ground yourself. If you don't want to do that, then as soon as you can, go find some grass to stand on after you've been traveling by aeroplane. That's the best thing you can do. So grounding, 15 minutes a day, just barefoot. And you can do this exercise and go connect with nature, do some meditation at the same time. You can do your breathing exercises at the same time, which we'll talk about. So, number 2. Diet, exercise. And the diet exercise has one prime purpose: to lighten the body, to reduce density in your body, because density in your body is what weighs you down, holds you down, brings your consciousness down. So doing diet exercise to improve life in your body is a good habit to be in. And we typically don't spend enough time in movement. And we eat too much, we sit too much, and all these things with our Western lifestyles. So your diet exercise, what you do, start small. Look at your diet. What processed food are you eating that you can cut down on? Are you eating too much red meat? Reduce the consumption of your red meat. Are you taking too much salt? Are you taking too much sugar? Reduce the consumption of that. Reduce your processed food. Are you eating more natural food? Are you eating more fruits, more vegetables, more greens? We don't take enough greens. So I take every day a green superfood powder complex. I take that every day because I know I'm not getting enough greens. So that's how I'm doing my diet and exercise. And I have a horrific regime on my body. Horrific. With the travel and eating out, and sleeping in different beds and everything else. You know, not doing enough exercise. However, I've been doing something about the exercise. When I was in Melbourne, I engaged a personal trainer. I had 5 personal training sessions in 10 days in one block, and I had 3 in 6 days in another block. So within a period of time, the fitness strength of my body went up dramatically. So after 6 months of a really bad lifestyle for the body, with travel, sleeping in different beds, not eating well, not being home with my diet that I can have, I should be a basket case, but I'm not. I'm feeling really good. I'm in good condition. I've got plenty of energy. I can do what I want. I can run a really hectic schedule and not be wiped out because I've put time into this to sustain me. And people don't believe that I'm nearly 57 years old when they look at me and what I do. I met 2 weeks ago, you know, some boys I met when I was some boys I met 30 years ago when they were 14, 15. They're now in their 40s. They see me and they say, you haven't changed. So diet exercise is very important because what diet exercise will do is to reverse your biological age. Your biological age is the age of your body, and your biological age does not have to keep adding up like your chronological age. So when you're 50, your biological age can be 40 or 35. When you're 60, your biological age can be 50 or 40. Choice is yours. However, your biological age is 10 years older than you are, you're in trouble. Because the maths are, you're going to head for an early grave. So this is what diet exercise is about. The problem with diet exercise is that it's all here. And the issues we have in our unconscious mind with our emotional baggage limit this, which is why when you do some of the work in the mind mapping, quantum mapping exercise we did on fear, etc., they will actually help you with this. 90% of weight loss exercise programs don't succeed with people because they've not worked on the emotional issues involved. So number 3 is release emotional baggage. We all have that. We all come into this world and we bring it with us and we take on more as part of living and life. And emotional baggage is a gift because it helps you grow in love. If you didn't have any emotional baggage, you wouldn't learn to grow in love. So releasing that is extremely important, particularly when you have a significant person in your life whereby there's acrimony in the relationship as a result of whatever. And today there's so many divorces and separations as a result of these things. And then the bitterness as a result of all that is what causes so many people to have cancers. Because bitterness eats the body from the inside. So emotional baggage is something that everyone should work on, but it's not easy work. Working it by yourself requires you to be incredibly skilled in this area, to be able to discern and know what's going on, because you have to separate the fact from the fiction, the stories from the reality. And that requires some skill. But the other thing about emotional baggage is that it could come from past lives. So if it does come from there, what do you do? This is where some knowledge and information about that can help. So it's an area to seek. And I don't have a simple solution to this for people. You know, my partner Sian does this stuff with her quantum hypnotic healing technique with Dolores Cannon's regression. I have a process I've learned called holographic kinetics, which is an Aboriginal dreamtime healing modality. That's very fast in getting rid of some of this. You know, like less than an hour for one session. And you're not under hypnosis. So working on releasing emotional baggage, there's many people, many processes out there. It's a question of your just looking and seeing what resonates with you and follow your inner guidance in terms of what's better for you. And by the end of tomorrow, you should be a lot better and sharper at your inner guidance in going for that. Number 4, practice mindfulness and thinking skills. On the USB stick that I give everybody are some e-books on thinking skills and mindfulness. So there's information there already on this. So practicing that's really important. And I'll tell you a story that actually happened, you know, with mindfulness. I'm at an expo, and I book a bigger booth because someone's going to share expo with me. 2 weeks before the expo, I get a phone call. I'm not coming. Of course, you can understand how pleased I am since I've committed many thousands of dollars for the extra stand with the expo, and then, you know, this person isn't attending. And when this person doesn't attend, you know, instead of having 1 light, instead of having 2 lights, I'm down to 1. So not a good situation. So understandably, I'm not quite happy about that. However, that state lasts for 1 hour, and I decide, well, I can't change it. I may as well flip it. So in order to flip it, I said, what's the gift in this situation? What's the opportunity? So once I asked that question, other possibilities came into it. And then when other possibilities came into it, I was able to effect the change, and it was amazingly successful. Everything took care of itself. So from a potential disaster, had a wonderful successful result. Simply as a result of practicing this. Because when something happens that causes you a problem, the more you agonize over it and feed it negative energy, the longer and more you're going to get caught in it and crippled without being able to do anything about it. So being able to practice this is very significant, and the best way to practice mindfulness and thinking skills is at home. That's the best way to practice it. Because we are habit in reacting to our significant other when our buttons are pushed. So when our buttons are pushed, it's like, whereas if you practice mindfulness and thinking skills, when your buttons push, it's like, let's just pause for a moment. What's really going on here? So instead of getting heated up, just look at the situation and ask your significant other a completely different question. A really good tactic is to actually change environment. So if you're starting to have an altercation in the kitchen, move to the lounge or the bedroom. That shift changes the energy of it all completely. So that's a really useful little tip. So practice mindfulness thinking skills. Start at home, start at work. All the people around you. Start small.
It's not what I'm talking with. It's myself.
Last one, meditate. And with meditation, meditation can be a trap. Because there's many people that meditate enormous amount and their lives don't change. So meditating itself isn't going to change your life. It's about how you meditate and why you meditate and the outcome of your meditation. So, why do you meditate? Simply to do one thing. Raise your resonance and vibration. How do you do that? By going into your inner world. Going into your inner world is a beautiful place. It's where you discover yourself. It's where yourself and source, spirit, and everything around you come together in this beautiful oneness of love and light. You cannot do this in your head. The reason why most people that meditate don't have a change in their lives is because they meditate in their head. Or they meditate one particular way and the method becomes the panacea for the result. When the method becomes the panacea for the result, in other words, everything is about this meditation method. It's not. The meditation method is supposed to be the rabbit hole that takes you to a place. But when the rabbit hole is the panacea to everything, then you've kind of lost the direction and purpose for what the meditation is about. Now when you meditate, it's like going down beneath the surface. So when you go down beneath the surface, you're going down a rabbit hole. So any meditation technique takes you down one particular rabbit hole. But if you want to journey down into the center of the earth, one rabbit hole isn't going to take you there. You're going to go down and you think you've reached enlightenment or the deepest place. The problem is you have no frame of reference at all. Because you have no frame of reference at all, you're down there and you don't know where there is. There's no relationship. And the problem with every rabbit hole is every rabbit hole comes to a bottom somewhere and it doesn't go any further. So what you go down several rabbit holes. When you go down several rabbit holes, then you have frames of references. So what am I saying? Don't get stuck on one meditation technique. Go and try different ones. And when you try different ones, go and use one that works for you. I'm going to show you, maybe today or tomorrow, a meditation technique called right space. Might do that tomorrow given the weather. And this meditation technique, right space, was channeled. It contains 3 phases and 7 aspects. That's the power of this technique. 3 phases, 7 aspects. And minimum is 1 hour. You can then do 3 hours, a whole day, a 3-day one, 1 week one if you want. And it's very profound when you do it. And when you do it, and you're able to tune in, get out of your head, it's quite amazing. I'll explain it to you at another time. So here are the 5 different steps. Now meditating is basically sitting still, in stillness and silence, getting out of your head and just being connected with everything around. And the key to meditating is when you can be aware of your breath and your heartbeat. When you can be aware of your heart and breath and heartbeat in stillness and silence, you are in the right space. So here's 5 simple steps to transcending your world. And I practice all of them. They're part of my life. on a regular basis. And that's why I'm able to be where I am. Any questions?
So how many different forms of meditation are there?
Hundreds, countless. There are so many. You go to India alone, there's thousands of Gurujis you can follow, you know, expressing their own spin on meditation and technique. You know, the Buddhists meditate a particular way, the Hindus meditate a particular way, the Christians have their own way of meditating in prayer, etc., etc., etc. But the bottom line with every single meditation technique are three key ingredients. The first one is you get out of your head and into your body so that your spirit can connect with everything else. That's the first thing. The second thing is you do it in stillness and silence. So stillness, silence, solitude is a key ingredient in meditation. The third thing is you go into your inner world, not your outer world or the world in your head. Go into your inner world. So they're the key ingredients in meditation. How do you know when you're there? Very simple. How do you know the fruit of a tree? By its eating. So you know you're there by the expression of what comes from that place in space.
So when you meditate, you get, you feel the difference straight away?
You can. The problem with feelings is this. Feelings are inaccurate. Feelings can lead you astray. Feelings can be good indicators, but feelings also can give you half-right indicators and incorrect indicators. It's much better to develop a sensitivity of a spiritual knowingness that is separate from your feelings.
Okay.
So a spiritual knowingness is really your intuition and your imagination and your guidance coming into a presence within you that gives you a clarity about what's going on. So for example, if you would go out into nature and you spend enough time in stillness and silence, you come to this amazing place in space where you all of a sudden find yourself connected with everything around. And then the feeling is one of amazing peace, stillness, and calmness. And you feel this oneness with everything around. So that's how your feelings can be an indicator of meditation connection. However, if you are in your head meditating and your body, emotion feels nice, you can delude yourself that you're in the deepest of meditative spaces, but in reality you're only in a shallow meditation. So that can happen. How do you know? One versus the other? Go try it and know the differences. But one thing that's really useful is this, is to keep a journal when you meditate. So you can meditate just to sit to get into the space. You can meditate to get insights and inspiration. So when you meditate to get insights and inspiration, and then you start journaling them, your journal is a record of the fruit of your labors. And then you look at the journal and you can see the thread and pattern of what goes on. On the stick are 2 years worth of Akashic record journalings that have come through when I've sat in my space. And you can read that and you can see, you can see the thread, the quality and information coming through. What's there? And when you read it, it is definitely not from here. Because the energy, the language, the wisdom, the expression of all that goes beyond the mind. So that's meditation. So the thing to do is to try it. And on the stick is a meditation folder. And there's, some simple ebooks and there's some simple techniques there to try. Music's good to help you meditate. And if you need to still your mind, the candle exercise is excellent. Whereby you just look at a candle flame for 10 or 15 minutes a day. In the morning is good. Any other questions? Okay, time for break.